Diallo, we thank you so much for you taking the time out to being a part of our Community of Practice channel on YouTube. We appreciate all your leadership, everything that you're doing thus far. And again, on behalf of SETSI, we thank you for participating today.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. Appreciate the good work that you're doing as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much. All right. So always, before we begin, we always acknowledge the original stewards of the various lands that we are on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So, Diallo, if you can please do us the honors by introducing yourself to our listeners and viewers and tell us about your amazing work.
All right, not a problem. So, as you mentioned, my full name is Diallo Farquharson. I was born and raised in the tropical island of Nassau, Bahamas. Grateful to have lived, worked, been educated in the US, UK, Canada, and the Bahamas. My formal education has been primarily focused in civil engineering with a master's in structural. And professionally, I began my career in larger civil infrastructure projects, with one of the most interesting perhaps being the $200 million water park in Nassau, Bahamas. That was pretty fun. Locally, I've been involved in engineering forensics and architectural design, which I'm grateful for as well because it's really given me the opportunity to secure dozens of building permits in over 30 municipalities across Southern Ontario. And so for the past few years, I've been utilizing my engineering knowledge to focus on impactful solutions to Toronto's housing inequality. So during my master's degree, I co-founded Turnkey with a vision of using a tech-based approach to the design and build of garden suites. And for the benefit of any listeners, garden suites are essentially self-contained dwellings that cities in North America, and particularly Ontario, are now allowing homeowners to build in their backyards so they can now house family, maybe downsize, or even earn extra income. So we've helped over 300 people determine their property's eligibility for one of these suites, and we're one of the first to introduce pre-designed suite models with fixed starting prices, so we can give people an alternative to spending hundreds with architects just for concepts. And we're currently exploring generative AI to create virtual garden suite assistants with the hopes of demystifying the financial literacy aspects of building a garden suite.
Wow, that sounds amazing. I've heard about that. Yes, I've definitely heard about that. And, I've seen it. And when you have enough land, especially some homes, they're very fortunate to have big backyards. There's some amazing things that you can do and to share space. So that's very innovative and much needed. So very good. And
Yes,
Bahamas, wow, I have to go there one day.
definitely.
Awesome. So, can you articulate your personal mission and vision for us? And also, what inspires you about the work that you do?
Oh, wonderful question. So I would say that my, I guess, vision or goal has always been to create something that people need. And really, this being successful in that would be changing the conversation amongst young professionals that are trying to justify high spending as a result of the current perception that they'll never afford a home without sizable help, of course. So, um, the goal or our big vision is really to make garden suites or even owning a home an option instead of a luxury. And so improving financial literacy around the development and making construction costs make sense is really at the core of our goal. And so leading into the second part of the question about what inspires me, growing up, I always heard my mom and other family members contemplate ways to make extra money. I've witnessed that cycle of talking about stock trading and then maybe Bitcoin, then side hustles, some of those maybe network marketing companies, and then saw them eventually stumble on YouTube, to some guru talking about the utility of real estate investment, and observing people hit kind of that point where they realize, okay, there's significant capital that's typically involved. And so what really inspires me about my current work is the fact that I've been exposed to different project types like designing decks, garages, residential homes, some commercial projects. And when considering my exposure in infrastructure, it just really feels like my purpose is to mesh all of the learning and the advanced technical knowledge to make community contributions through housing. I'm inspired because I have the privilege to problem solve in a time when some might refer to it as a productivity paradox. And what I mean by that is there's all this technology available in society, but there are seemingly insignificant results sometimes, especially when we talk about construction costs, which are still high here in Toronto specifically, or even housing affordability, which is also still a problem. So I'm really driven to create living spaces that people can't wait to come home to through a design build process that makes them wish they had more backyards so that they can work with us over and over again.
That's right. Especially, seeing the innovative work that you do, and because I'm sure you have some awesome like pictures, like, graphics
Mhm.
that you put that's so inspiring that would be like, oh wow, that'd be so amazing. So definitely. And I feel you with the different avenues of making money and finding that way. People are really trying to find all different aspects and avenues to incur money. But I mean, your way is so ethical, so conscious to our situation right now. We're at a standstill when it comes to housing and fair housing and equity efficient for people to afford the housing. I'm hearing people even renting their driveways. It's gotten to that.
Shocking. Yeah, it's an
It's
interesting
something.
time.
Oh, I'm telling you. Awesome. So, on the flip side now, what challenges or barriers have you faced in your work and how were you able to overcome it?
That's a great question. I okay, I'll divide it into two parts. First, something that we can't control or impact rather, and then something that we can impact. So starting off with the challenge that we can't impact, it's been a high interest rate environment recently. And when we think about Maslow's hierarchy, at the foundation of it, you have psychological needs like food, shelter, clothes. And in this period in time, these things are being threatened because many people are facing increased mortgage costs that now put a strain on recreation and even some other basic luxuries that make people feel secure. And these things typically need to be taken care of before someone can even begin to think about financial creativity, like making extra income or adding extra space to their properties. And so that's been a challenge, and we're working to overcome this by creating AI assistants that allow people to keep a pulse on financial viability of projects based on their unique financial conditions. And so moving into the second part, which is something we can impact, much of the development costs in residential projects is a result of the core construction costs and even trade shortages, which is becoming more and more rampant. On a high level, construction is pretty stagnant right now because the high borrowing costs really magnify the risk for builders and even some smaller retail investors. And consumers really don't want to pay for this. And so we're working to overcome this construction speed and labor related costs through 3D printing using concrete mortar. This technology creates strong and quality building envelopes. So, for example, the walls of a 2,000 square foot single story home could be printed in less than a week.
Oh man, I'm getting goosebumps because as you're saying it, I'm visually seeing it. I was addicted to those videos, watching the 3D printing homes and how beautiful, like it's so sustainable, it's eco-friendly, it's so good for the earth too. Earth homes. I just love earth homes and I think it's so necessary for the planet of today. And Wow, that's genius. Sign me up. I'm ready to live in one right now, as a matter of fact. Oh, wow. That's cool. All right. So what are you working on currently? What are some of your key priorities right now?
Well, currently we're focused on creating a beta of our virtual garden suite GPT for a test group. And depending on the feedback, we'll be able to confirm that it has utility in this application or determine if it would be better suited in other applications. Now, from the construction technology standpoint, our initial focus is single story developments such as drive up storage facilities, en routes, gas stations, or car washes. And we're currently providing consultation and preliminary design to gauge interest and really assess viability through our StrataPrint venture, actually.
Okay, yes. You said what was the last thing you said? Strata print?
Yeah, StrataPrint. It's a venture solely focused in the 3D printing of
Okay.
structures.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
across
Wonderful.
various sectors, commercial, residential.
Yes, exactly. Wonderful. That's great. And so just your opinion, how do you feel about the future of social impact in Canada?
Well, we're currently living in an environment where information flows relatively freely, unlike the past. So sentiment surrounding the future of social impact, it does vary from person to person. And my opinion specifically, I have a positive outlook, especially when I think about innovation in social finance, for example. There's an emergence of new enterprises in the notion of impact investing, which is great because it's providing new avenues for funding social initiatives. This shift can really drive solutions to social challenges that bridge the gap between traditional philanthropy and the business sector. Then you have technology advancements like digital platforms, data analytics, and AI, and they're being leveraged to improve the effectiveness and awareness even of things like mental health or access to education. So, I mean, ultimately, responsible use of these tools will be extremely beneficial. And that's really one of the things driving my positive outlook, our ability to use them responsibly.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's we actually speak about AI, and I always say the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we really have to get behind it and have a full understanding, especially when it comes to the biases that can play into AI technology. So that's something that I'm sure Victor would love for you to get your opinion on as well. I'll make sure I let him give you an invite for our next meeting on that as well. So that's great.
Thank you.
All right. So in a nutshell, what's your ultimate goal and what does success look like to you?
Yeah. So I touched on it a bit earlier. A big focus is changing the conversation around housing. It's often said that Canadians talk about two things, usually the weather and housing. And recently, it's always how unaffordable it is, how rents are so expensive, how buying a home is like impossible for a lot of people. And so, really, that changing that conversation, like it shouldn't be a luxury. It needs to be an option. Everyone has the right to own a home, to live in a home, to raise their families. And really, my colleagues and I, we really need to make building these suites, make owning homes accessible to everybody. And it starts with improving financial literacy around development, in my opinion, really grabbing a hold on construction costs, using innovative technologies, avoiding that productivity paradox, and actually making sure that it flows from concept through to implementation.
Absolutely. 100%. The conversation definitely needs to be had. It's like you said, it shouldn't be a luxury. Everybody deserves to be in a home, a sustainable home. And, whether people want to, the government has the money. Trust me, when they're ready to do the things that maybe the public doesn't agree with, the government finds the money to do it. So, the money is there. That's my opinion. Oh, gee. Well, this has been such an exciting and, positive outlook of the future of, homes and how it can be sustainable to all, and, this is something that I know that a lot of people who will watch this will be very inspired and will look for more and more things that are coming your way. So my last question is just closing thoughts and your calls to action at this time.
There's a phrase people mention knowledge being power. I actually have a counter to that. In my opinion, knowledge isn't power, it's potential. And it becomes power when applied properly. So, for example, after this conversation, we know now some of the challenges, financial literacy, construction costs, that they exist. We know that technologies exist that can overcome them. We know that there are people trying to solve these problems. And so we need to really take action. We need to share this knowledge. And what that can look like is sharing this video to a friend. We need to make sure together we can keep the conversation going, keep it evolving, and get technologies like 3D printing to communities that need it.
Absolutely. Everybody who's watching this video, if you don't know about 3D printing, please go on YouTube, check it out, see how awesome it is. I remember even watching a video, they were helping homeless people with those 3D printing, just nice little micro homes, but they're so cute and sustainable, very clean, had little flowers in the front. I'm like, sign me up, They're trying to put us in little boxes anyway, so at least let it be an eco-friendly one.
Yeah,
Oh,
on our
Diallo, this
terms.
is yes, I'm telling you. So once again, on behalf of Setsi, we appreciate you so much. Your remarkable leadership that you're doing. We wish you nothing but success in your future endeavors. And I know this is going to just blow up massively, and Setsi is 100% behind you. So this won't be the last time that we'll meet, and we'll definitely collab again. And yeah, get to roll up our sleeves and continue the work, because I always say it's not about us anymore. It's about the future. It's our future leaders that are coming up that we're passing the baton to. So doing things like this is so honorable, and just it's a feel good thing, and it will happen. I'm putting it out there. It will manifest.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. Wonderful conversation. I look forward to the many more to come.
Awesome. So we will close the way we began by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we are on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So Diallo, once again, thank you so much. We will be in touch, and you have a blessed and wonderful rest of the year.